So this is Dr. Karl Benson, who some of you will recognise and some of you will know, even with glasses. And he
That's
was
how it used to be.
when I turned up at Malvern Pentecostal Church, as it were, then in September 2009. Karl was the guy that I immediately kind of bonded with, connected with on a, I think, on a, safe to say, on a spiritual connection and just a friend basis. I think we just clicked really, and I think that was incredibly important because a lot of people maybe who were there at that time very much struggled with, we wanted to move the church forward, and so having a number two as he became as our associate very quickly, it was just so important to have another voice, just saying the same stuff and not having to do it all yourself and try and get momentum. Karl was integral to that process to get us ultimately to where we are today, I suppose. Yeah, so again, thanks for your input back in the day and helping us lay the foundations. And it was just a phenomenal time. I look back very fondly, and so I think I officially lost all my hair at that point.
You still had some when I left.
Yeah. It's beautiful now. To be fair, if you don't use it, God takes it away. So I've never had good hair. I don't miss it. But yeah, I've got a number of kind of questions that I thought you could maybe elaborate on. But it's great to see your face, and I'm sure those that were there back in the day and several years ago. I was trying to work out what year it was that you moved on from us, Karl. Can you fill in the gap?
And you didn't manage to figure that out then? Obviously, you're asking me. No, can't remember.
Were you with us about 3 years, or was it 4 years?
Well, I was with you longer than. Well, you're saying with us, you mean as you as the leader? Yeah, it was about 3 years. I was 3 years as associate, but obviously I was there before you, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah,
when Alan was the pastor. So
yeah.
I don't know. I've probably done about 6-7 years there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, 2000, because we both got saved within a day or two of each other.
Yeah. November
So
2000. That's crazy.
I was at MPC at that time. Yeah.
Happy days. So, yeah, Karl was with us 3 years. Any particular standout kind of memories during those period or those 3 years, apart from having to work with a Muppet like me?
Work with a Muppet like you? Well, I was actually, because obviously I knew he was doing this, I was doing some pondering on that. And funny enough, your introduction pretty much really said everything that was sitting in my head. Just thinking back on, what did he appreciate, what was good, and I thought, actually, it's just that we clicked. Things didn't need explaining. I knew what he was thinking. I could see what was going on, and if you were struggling, it's like, right, I know what needs to happen here, and I'd jump up and I could say something, help out in that way. I don't know, I think we just knew what each other was doing and thinking. I remember Wendy used to always say, "You're like a married couple, you two." I don't know if you remember. But it was that kind of thing. So
It was a bit like that.
Yeah, and as I say, having a number two that got you was probably useful.
Oh yeah.
And again, I remember when I left, and you said, you said the problem you're going to have is you ain't got a Karl. And I think you meant, you're not going to get someone who's going to be able to work with you like that. And he was right, never did. Yeah.
Sorry.
So I guess
that. Just dampen it before you go. We'll get to where you went a bit later, but yeah, interesting times. No, that's really cool. I think again, yeah, as you said, 3 years as associate. What do you think in terms of, not to be patronising, but lessons learned during that period? I mean, I certainly learned a heck of a lot. I've been an associate in Edinburgh with a great community there, but coming into being number one and being able to not have to you know, being able to freely think, freely bring vision within reason, especially those first 6 months that were particularly difficult, where we shrunk from like 25 to 15 people and everyone panicked. Do you remember that in my lounge? Oh, wow. Like, you said something really interesting. I think you said, okay, did we want a builder or did we want a pastor? And I think that was one of those moments where the room just went, oh yeah, okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember?
remember that. I remember that meeting. I think it was a bit more harsh than that. Well, yeah, I said that. But I remember following up because obviously within that meeting they were, well, where's our pastor gone? We've got this builder guy now. What's the crux of it? Yeah, and I asked that question. Well, you know, da da da. And I remember following up. Well, then you're setting this guy up to fail. You purposely got him here to fail. You knew you wanted to build it. We got a builder, and now you're after a pastor, which he's not. I mean, obviously you can pastor, but that's not your main
Oh,
gift.
maybe a pastor in.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. You asked a question before you went off a
The
tangent on that.
biggest lessons during your time with Eden, the things that
That
you
helped
maybe learned?
for being the senior leader. You mean?
Just in general, just church and ministry and leadership.
Well, within that time, I think what I learnt from you was slowing down. Um, I I would try and do things quick myself. I like to move things along. I want it done now, and that's fine when you're on your own. Um, you know, and if you're a reasonably capable person, you can make things happen. If it's just you, if it's something that you can do on your own, obviously you couldn't playing football. You need a team, don't you? But you know, because I remember getting warned about that by Leon when I was on his leadership team in Tewkesbury before yours. You know, you go too quick. So yeah, I think that because I do remember using that quite a bit when I got up to Matlock. If I think of it as getting on a bus, you want to pull up at the bus stop and let as many people on as possible and take them with you, not just the first one to jump on in it. You know, we'd like to get everyone along on the journey, if possible. I mean, some people won't get on. Some people get off, if you're using that analogy. But well, best you can, you want to keep as many people on the bus as you can, don't you?
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
needed some numbers back then, didn't we? So,
Yeah. But, you know, sometimes that's good, which might sound weird to people, but, you know, if you've got a whole lot of people that's just going to stop you, well, great, get out of the way.
100%, yeah. I think we saw that, didn't we? We had to, once we'd gone through that whole vision process, we came up with the name Eden, and well, God did, and then started initiating the vision. I think it was attractive to people, wasn't it? And unattractive to others. And I think, I mean, even at Eden since then, over the last, even up to a few years ago, we've had, you know, really had to just nail down freshly, constantly. You know, this is the vision, this is the strategy, this is the culture, this is what God's given us. The vision is never going to change. That is what God's vision is for Eden. It is what for Malvern. The strategy can be shifted and changed. The culture is who we are right now in this season. That can't really be messed with because that's our very, very DNA. And I think you're right in the sense that we had to lose people during that process.
Yeah.
You have to, even people that are new and attracted to that, maybe after a while, you know, they get attracted to something, don't they? And they don't particularly have that, what's the word? Lastability. I just made up a word. Stickability. There's another one. And I think in terms of just having that solidification, you and Lindsay, you know, not just yourself, but just you as a family, I think that was very important. I remember particularly the Nashes as well, sticking by and in that meeting as well, really just holding the ground, wasn't it? So no, just once again, just the integral honouring the history. Eden is 10 years old on June, I think it's June the 6th or 7th this year. So we're obviously not going to be able to celebrate how we wanted to.
Yeah.
But we want to honour the past as well. Since we became Eden, that's important. But after 3 years, you obviously how I think it was you went. We obviously put you through ministerial training. We'll always, obviously try and give people as much opportunity as possible. And you got presented with an opportunity to become church leader of. There was 2 churches at the time, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
one church, 2 locations, and it was Matlock. So you go from asking the question. I know it's been an interesting journey, but like it all is, there's always highs and always lows, isn't there? But what was the main difference for you from going from an associate and then stepping, and I would definitely say, without being patronizing, you'll know this, going up a level and actually being the guy that everything kind of falls on. If it goes well, you get the credit sometimes, and if it goes badly, it's definitely your fault. What was the biggest difference for you?
So working with you in Eden, totally agree with the vision and everything. So that wasn't a problem. It wasn't like you having to do something you don't agree with. But at the end of the day, that does come down to you. It's going to be led by Mike and what Mike feels God's asking of Mike. And it's going to come through the Mike filter and your personality and your gifting, etc., etc. And I could do all I could do to help you with that. But then there'd be things, obviously, that I was thinking, well, I wouldn't want to do it that way. Which was, I remember you saying that to me, actually. One of the biggest things you're going to learn is how you wouldn't want to lead. And you meant it in a good way.
Yeah,
because so you learn quite a bit of that as well. So
yeah, so biggest difference is learn about, and I think it's a huge. I had 2 years serving under a wonderful pastor who hopefully will do one of these interviews with us. Who and you're never going to agree wholly with who you serve, but I think it's the principle of honouring them, honouring the vision that God's given them. They're the ones that God removes and God appoints, and we're not always going to agree, and God probably doesn't always agree, because we've got obviously the freedom of our personalities and free will. But I think when we honour that and we serve, like you did very well under me, and I believe I did under Steve, I think it's then that God trusts you with more. It's not that he loves you more, it's not that he likes you anymore, it's just that actually you've stewarded well what you have and what he gave you already. So give me, apart from the freedom to kind of go with your distinctive giftings, give me a high and a low about leadership. I suppose you have to be careful what you say, because this is going to go out online.
Well, I suppose the high is what I've said. I guess it's the privilege as well. I remember very early on. I mean, I just went into, as you say, leading those 2 churches, and I think I was just kind of okay. Let's put into practice what I've learned, and just bounce along. And I think it was probably after about a month, I was stood in the doorway looking in, and it was kind of this thing just hit me off. Oh, I'm responsible for these people. That's. It's not about me. It's about all these people, and I'm responsible for this, and growing them as Christians spiritually, etc. That sounds like I'm giving that as a low. It's not that. That's kind of a high, getting the privilege of carrying that responsibility and being able and the trust to do that. So I think, that's probably one of the biggies, the privilege of doing it.
Sounds like a positive and a negative, because it's this wonderful opportunity, wonderful privilege that God's entrusted to you, but then also something that many people don't understand, and I certainly didn't, but it's like, whoa, actually, we are spiritually responsible for people now. And that's hard for some people to understand. Well, I'm responsible for myself, but actually there's a biblical precedent there, isn't there, that you're responsible spiritually for the development of these people. Not you're responsible for developing them, but they're responsible for actually then using that and taking that and becoming who they're meant to be. It's not our responsibility to do that.
Yeah, people have got to respond to it, which, so I guess what you're saying, you could see it as a negative as well, because, you'll know yourself, a lot of people don't. and then you start, or I did, oh, I'm not doing this very well because they're not doing blah, 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 and that's my fault, so I've got to do this. But I can't be responsible for the way they respond.
Yeah.
I can only be responsible for giving out everything that I can. I can only give myself and everything that I've got to offer. And, it's like that gift thing, isn't it? There it is. I'm offering you this. People have got to take it and run with it. So I suppose it's a low in that sense, but no, I kind of enjoyed it. So that was, I was fine with that. Lows, yeah, I suppose it does go into that. The people not responding, I guess. Yeah, and yeah, I know he said be careful, it's going out, but I think the year before I left to go into chaplaincy, I had this, it's just like an epiphany, which did lift a lot of weight, I've got to be honest, where I just thought, these people, I'm trying to help people who don't want me help here. I was like, and it took me years to actually get that. It really did, because I'm just thinking, oh, they all believe the same things as I. They believe the same as me. They want to do this and that for God. They want to go out. They want to do this, and I know, a big percentage of people. I'm not just saying the people in Matlock. I'm not just saying within Christianity. They don't. And that was just like a big, wow. Actually, they don't want me help. I'm flogging myself here, stupid, trying to help people who just don't want me help. And I go further and say, a lot of people don't believe it. Honestly, I just don't think they do. And what do I mean by that? They will think they do. The fact is, a lot of people don't actually know what they believe. They think they do. As you'll know, but people probably don't. I trained as a spiritual director as well. So I did 3 months full-time residential, learning how to do that. It was an awful lot of person-centered counselling skills. Actually, the skills to get people talking, so using the counselling skills for that. But obviously then you're directing that towards spirituality and developing people's, relationship with God. But just doing that one-on-one with people, honestly, it'll only take about 2 or 3 minutes, and it just becomes really obvious people don't actually know what they believe. They'll say one thing, and you'll just tell me more about that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh well, yeah, so are you sure about it? No. Yeah, and so it's all church meeting, yes, oh amen, amen, and ask someone to do it. Well, that's a different thing. Do you think, like a classic, do you think God heals? Yes. Would he heal through you? Yes. Come on, we'll just go out and put out, well, let's go and find someone on the street. Oh, hang on. You don't believe it. If you believed it, you would, because otherwise you're a pretty easy person, aren't you? Whoa, there's books falling down.
Get rid of that demon.
Yeah.
I'll pause you there. I think we've talked on and off more, I suppose, more on at times, certainly when you're at Matlock, senior leader at the church there, and there's a frustration that I think is a frustration for any senior leader, in that you see the potential in people, you see what Jesus wants in people, and then trying to, you're killing yourself almost, just giving them everything you've got. You're pouring out all this stuff, and as you say, it comes to the crunch, and you're like, okay, I'm not sure where these guys, if they really, really want this. And we challenge our guys at Eden with this. They're used to that kind of language from myself in particular, just constantly saying, look, guys, what is the point in this church if we're not doing what God's told us to do? Literally, we're going to meet him one day and he's going to go, that sounds super harsh. He'll love us and cuddle us and be delighted to see us. But in terms of fruit, I think there is that element that, okay, we really, this isn't about us, we're dead, so why don't you get on with it, and I know we share that kind of common denominator, common frustration. Bill Hybels would have said, that holy discontent, that to equip. And I think, you know, with you, you certainly went through, if you don't mind me saying, that frustration, that kind of almost point of just giving up, because actually I don't think these guys really want to develop. I think they want cozy Christianity. And there was that element, that stepping out of that then into finding yourself in chaplaincy almost. I know that you found I don't know, a fresh approach to ministry for yourself. And I'd be interested, if, because we can't be too long with this, but I'd be fascinated, just before we get into what you're doing now, that whole chaplaincy journey into, okay, how's this feels like, I mean, something you've said to me is this feels like the ministry of Jesus. Does that come out of the fact that actually you're helping people that now want your help, and not even want your help, they need your help? Is that, would you say that's one of the key differences to the ministry, or is it you just feel like more connected?
Yeah, I mean, they need your help. I think people make it quite clear actually in chaplaincy they don't want your help, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go away. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. Brilliant. It is. I'd much rather someone tell the
Okay.
truth. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm going to start playing games.
Yeah, so I think the chaplaincy, once I'd done the training for spiritual direction, uh, it come very clear now, because then that's people coming to you who definitely want the help. You know, and people pay by the hour for it. You know, so it's, they want it that much, they're willing to pay. And so then you're with people who I want to develop. So learning that just working with people one-on-one, it becomes very obvious that you can help someone, you can help that one person. It goes without saying, doesn't it? If you're doing one-on-one with someone, you can really progress someone quite easily. And that's assuming if they want to progress, and they did within that. So I think the one-on-one work really hit it on for me. It's like, all right, now this is bearing an awful lot of fruit, massive amount of fruit. Yeah, and then chaplaincy came up. Again, that was when I was doing the training for spiritual direction. I was with a guy who was an army chaplain. For 10 weeks I was with him, and just talking through that with him. And as you know, and other people might not know, army background anyway, that just felt like a really good fit. Yeah, so I applied for that last February, but it takes an awful long time to get in. So on the interim, went into NHS chaplaincy, whereby, yeah, it's there's just a real need. I mean, well, you know me, or the Carl was, that's still me. But really, what a privilege to get into the supremely pastoral positions with people. You know, 'cause as you can imagine, in the hospital, it's a lot of, well, obviously sickness, but you know, it's a lot of death, dying. I think the first week there, I'd had 5 dead babies in my arms, having to, well, they would call it baptism, but you know, just a bit of water on the head and do some ritual, more of a, probably what we call a dedication.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, for people who's just lost the kids, the first one I done was twins,
Yeah,
2 dead babies.
remember you telling me.
Yeah, it's to be let into that, and people's suffering, and then the big questions aren't they? Where's God in all this? Why is He letting this happen? You know, so you're working where you know, where the rubber hits the road. You can't just flout theology at people, and you know, you're right in there, and people are in a real situation. I want to know what's happening now. Where's God? Why is this happening? So you're no longer speaking about, talking about, philosophizing about theology.
Mm-hmm.
You start to live it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're having to live as Christ lived. You're going to have to be that loving presence. You've got to be Christ to people. So for me, it just moved away from any theory to now you're definitely having to live this with people. Yeah, so that was that's so I think it's just great enough. You're not going to get away with just talking about it.
I think, you know, and I love that you've found your peace in that ministry. But then you had another step out of the, well, not out of the chaplaincy, further deeper into and entrenched into the chaplaincy. Because correct me if I'm wrong, you are now Captain Benson, which
I am.
it just suits you to a T, because your army background. I think that was one thing that obviously when we were working together, and I was trying to in a way mentor you in particular little aspects, and there's a reverse mentorship there as well. But it was like trying to get the army out of Carl, because you were so. Why aren't these guys just doing what I'm telling them to do? Because that's what you used to. And I love that God's kind of taken you through that journey, softened your heart, and found you back into a position. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, just over the next few minutes before I ask you one last question.
Yeah. Oh, all right. A few minutes. So army chaplaincy, pretty much, you know, the same as any other chaplaincy. It's you're there on the ground with the guys and girls. You know, the situations are going to vary, aren't they? Whether, you know, if they're just in barracks, then that's probably, you know, you're going to get probably a couple of weddings, funerals, normal churchy stuff. The pastoral things, it's usually things like drugs. There's quite a bit of drugs goes on, to be honest with you. I've got my girlfriend pregnant, you know, the run-of-the-mill stuff. To, you know, if you end up on tour, you know, you're there to hold a guy while he dies in your arms and be that again. You've got that presence of Christ, you know, which the hospital chaplaincy has been brilliant for that, because I've sat with that many people dying. I don't think that would be, I heard this in the context and trying to say it wouldn't be a problem, you know. I mean, it's a tragedy, but I'm well equipped. So
amazing.
Yeah, so you know, that's the kind of the extremes of it. First and foremost, though, you've got to try and keep it in your head. You're there as a chaplain, because all the chaplains or the people in the army, like myself, are Christian. They have a couple of other religions that are about, but there's only a couple of them, and they're civvies. So you really are there as, again, you're going to have to be Christ in this, and remember who you are. You're not really a soldier. You're in the army. Yeah. I am a captain in the army, but you know, it's get one of those things where you're going to have to keep telling yourself, actually, you know, I'm in God's army first. I'm here for him. That's the priority, not playing soldiers. Yeah. Which I think the chaplaincy, Royal Army Chaplains departments, as they're called, is you know, they're very aware of that.
You were quickly promoted as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Quickly promoted?
Oh yeah, you would be an army chaplain and suddenly you're a captain.
Oh, so what the army does, they have something called professionally qualified officers. So if you've got a profession, so like I'll be going through Sandhurst with, and I've done the selection board with lawyers, doctors, nurses. So if you're a lawyer or a doctor or a minister like us, you've already got a profession, you're professionally qualified, and there's certain things that the army will need. Pastors, they also need lawyers and doctors. So if you go in as one of those, so if you went in as an officer, normally you start as a second lieutenant. If you've already spent, so what they're doing is saying, well, you spent, you know, whatever, 9 years in my case as a minister anyway. Mm-hmm. So we'll start you as captain, which is out. So you have a second lieutenant, lieutenant captain. So you've only jumped a few.
It just makes me laugh what God's done, delighted to see you, doing what you're doing, and you're a granddad now as well. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, that's the highlight. It's great.
Softy Carl.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, it's one of those things, and you look at people when they're older than me, thinking they're always on about the grandkids. I'll never do that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the grandkids are great.
I do remember some conversations leading into that I shall not repeat, but it's just lovely to see you doting and loving the kids. One last question while I have you. I suppose, I'm not sure what your answer will be, and this is off the cuff a little bit. Advice to Eden going forwards over the next kind of, looking ahead, next 5-10 years? Maybe speak
off Mike.
Just with your experience of Eden at the beginning, and your own experience outside of Eden, leading the church, and now as a
advice. Well, I'll speak to Eden as Christians rather than just Eden.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself and where you're at with your journey. If there's things you don't get, and to be honest, I'd actually don't believe this, then speak to someone about it. You can get past that. And I always have this thing about actually within those, when the doubt comes, and there's bits I don't know, I'm doubting this, that, and the other. That's brilliant. It's a sign of growth. To me, I always say that the doubts and the disbelief is a real good sign of growth, because you can't stay in Sunday school all your life. You just can't. Mm-hmm. You need to move on, and if you're clinging hold of past beliefs, or think of it holding on, you ain't going anywhere, are you? You're going to have to let go of something and be honest, like, I'm struggling with this, don't get it, don't believe it. Then you can progress, and get on with following Christ. And, there was a great commission, firm believer in that, go and make disciples, go and do it, instead of making excuses.
And we should finish on that note. The bluntness of Captain Dr. Benson, a good friend of our church and a good friend of mine. So thank you. Sun keeps coming out and blinding me here. It's Damascus Road experience. But yeah, just thank you for your time. Great to catch up with you. Great to have you, I suppose, be introduced to people. I think you haven't been for a few years, probably 4 or 5. So I think you've been to the new building. But just this was Carl, and just thank you for your time with us. I'll stop recording there and have a little catch up with you now anyway. But Dr. Karl Benson.
Bye.
Happy days.
It's been great to have you join us. If you'd like to be a part of our ever-growing online community, then please like us, subscribe to us, or follow us on any of the social media platforms that we're a part of. These are really difficult and strange times, aren't they? And we, as your local church here in Malvern and surrounding areas, we want you to know that you are not alone, that we are here for you. And if you're struggling practically, spiritually, or even financially, where possible, we are committed to supporting you through these times. So right now we have people available that if you connect with us, we will get in touch with you straight away to help you and support you in any way we can. So get in touch today, particularly at connect@edenchurch.co.uk. If you're struggling with this whole online malarkey, we've put together, following me right now, this little video to help you connect to our YouTube site so you don't miss out on any content, and also our website where you can find out more about us. So if you'd like help, support, like to know more about Eden, and maybe more importantly, more about Jesus, then get in touch right now. Don't be shy, particularly if you need support. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I pray that you have a great rest of your day. God bless you, God provide for you, and God give you Him who is peace. Have a great rest of your day. God bless you.
To access us on YouTube, simply put YouTube into your search engine, click the YouTube link that comes up, and in the YouTube search box, enter Eden Church Malvern, and you might well find that it comes up as it has here. To subscribe to our channel and not miss any content, click the red subscribe button, and to access our content, click the Eden Church logo. The first video that comes up will usually be our latest premiere or our latest video. You can also access on this channel previous content which we pray will uplift you and encourage you in the faith. To access more information, enter edenchurch.co.uk into your browser to find our website, or alternatively, put Eden Church Malvern into your search engine. We are the first link that comes up. Here, you'll find access to all our channels like YouTube, Facebook groups, and Instagram page. You'll also find an About Us section. Here, on this page, you'll find everything about us, from our culture, our vision, our strategy, and our teams. And at the very bottom of the page is the important opportunity to contact us with any needs you may have. Simply enter your email address, your message heading, and your message itself, and click the send button, and we'll be in touch as soon as we can.